Substance provides the entity with life or something. It's providing it with something. Maybe they won't go into that. I wonder if they will. I hope they do, because this, I don't know, this scene it probably didn't stick it out to most people, but it did for me. It really did for me. So this is the thing part of the story, is that it's kind of like, he's kind of like a reactionary drug addict, not unlike Mr. Smith from The Matrix when he says more me. More me, more me. This particular entity, whether it is supernatural, extraterrestrial, or just a bioweapon, it needs and desires, just like Mr. Smith. However, the part that is important is that it allows Alec to take the box after it has already flexed its muscles. So it does its no, and then then it just kind of parts away from it like this. Then it parts away, it kind of trickles away from it. So it's like, yeah, anyway, it was kind of an interesting moment. I doubt maybe they will. Maybe they'll continue with this. The opening of this pilot starts with a few intriguing threads. Your main protagonist, Abby Arcane, is a young and seasoned epidemic intelligence service CDC doctor who shows up in the pilot as someone who excels in everything she does, particularly versatile in her ability to save lives and convincing people that they need to follow her lead. She establishes herself as a confident leader, someone who is needed in a time of crisis taking place in a small town. Mariah, Louisiana, is revealed to us in the morning of twilight as she's heading home, full of dingy, run-down corners of rusty bridges and vanishing pavement as Abby rolls into town. As she crosses one of these rusty bridges, she is reminded of someone she misses and cares about, as illustrated in the small memorial at the foot of the bridge. Her presence is compelling, and then we are intrigued and we feel her need to succeed in helping her hometown as she returns with determination and vigor. Our x-rays found a stubborn mycosis in her lungs, but that isn't fungal, to one of the people who are infected by this virus. Our x-rays found a stubborn mycosis in her lungs, but isn't fungal. They don't even know what the contamination or sickness is, and so they aren't able to fight it. Holland and Arcane first meet in the hospital, and that was kind of cute and slightly romantic. He clearly knows something and establishes that he has been working on something, at least doing his own investigating on the virus, and says that she won't find anything in that has been in the playbook before. She is surprised that he knows more than he originally let on, and he gets kicked out. Abby then goes to Coyle's house, the patient Zero's father. They find Holland there, and he is collecting a sample out of the wood. Coyle is found dead in the bathroom, full of carnivorous plants. Avery Sutherland hired Alec Holland to collect and analyze biological samples. He has found some biological processes that he has never seen before, and they could be connected to the pathogen. So Abby pokes fun at the 80s. I don't know why they have to keep making fun of the 80s, and a lot of these shows they have to just keep poking fun at the 80s. It's like they want to get rid of the awesome nostalgia that people are having, or at least the awesome fun, nostalgia and the fun that people are having with this whole thing, because quite honestly, it was something that where when we had a conservative president, and as a result the economy thrived, and we got some of the best art that came out in the history of our country. Some of the best movies, some of the best music, some of the most creative music, and pop music, and of course, and just music in general, and some of the most creative movies. Back to the Future. All these are original concepts, original ideas that everybody was, these days are afraid of, brand new ideas. So, anyway, it's like take a little bit of a understanding / take some knowledge from that, instead of kind of just bashing on it just because it was maybe a self-indulgent one. It may have been self-indulgent time, but I lived then and I wasn't necessarily self-indulgent. I was a poor kid growing up in the 80s, But you know, I don't know. So let me help you find a solution. Instead of spinning around the hospital, he convinces her to go back and see his cabin, and that's like the moment where he, you know, convinces her to come back. And you know, it's like these days, it's like, would that actually ever happen? Probably not. Like, you know, these days, you know, with just all the craziness that's happened in the past with weird dudes and weird people, I just love to fantasize about this being a fun little romantic story about two scientists who just you know, love discovering things together. And that's like the key thing here, is that's what these are two scientists kind of, you know, just kind of on a journey and bump into each other. So she guessed that he's not from around the area because of his shoes. This story really reminds me of the Hulk, because the male and female lead both are scientists working together on discovery of a new biological phenomenon. This way you build the closest of the relationships, and their bond is strengthened by their passion for life. These two scientists / doctors are embarking on the same journey and happen to bump into each other along the way. When you have two people who have a passion for life or discovery of life, this is a stimulant that aids the continuous growth of closeness between the two, and on a deeper, perhaps more subconscious level, increase the audience's desire to find that life as well. So, I mean, it's like, you know, I know that this is I know that this scene is particularly written well, and executed well, is because he's so excited about it. He's so excited about his discovery that he made. He's so excited about the things that he's discovered from this, and he shows you how important it is by the light in his eyes. Instantly, you know, this guy is just he's very eager, and just eager to find these things that you know, to prove himself of things that we'll get to. It has to be some kind of biological accelerant, like a fertilizer, that they decide, but it only attacks mutagens. So that's what they finally deduce from this clinical test, this test where the plants basically become the vines from Sleeping Beauty, being controlled by Maleficent. Somehow they are intertwined in the same universe. At the town meeting, it is established that the swamp is what keeps the economy going. This is something that's well put out. The swamp killer killed Avery's father. We're introduced to Avery Sutherland, played by Will Patton. He emerges in this scene, and he is by far stealing the show for me. He's definitely actually every actor, every character is extraordinary, or at least very, very good in this show, and I am thoroughly surprised and very impressed with all their performances. However, I think that the one who is taking the cake is Avery Sutherland, aka Will Patton. He emerges in the scene charismatic as ever, with Southern gentleman swagger. He dominates the scene with an almost corny yet captivating speech, luring people back into trusting him. He assures that the town that, although the swamp has rendered many trials and tribulations throughout the course of history of the town, particularly in 86 and 92, we can all come out of this as heroes. I mean, he's just convincing everyone that, you know, he's putting a lot on the line, and we can all come out of this as heroes. So, or millionaires for that matter. So interesting. You know, he gives some history and backstory to that, and it's well established that, you know, swamps are, you know, of course we've known that, you know, where do most germs congregate? Where do they come together? In water. So that's where most of your horrible germs are. They're in your kitchen sink or your bathroom sink or whatever, or your bathtub. That's where they end up congregating. So anyway, so he well establishes that. He continues to run from his so this character is very interesting because he's continuously running from his obstacles while making threats left and right to people that could be on his side, pushing people out of the way. He's definitely one of those people, a little slightly narcissistic, not quite that much, but he's definitely got his own self-interest involved, and I can see him stepping on people in the future. This character is refreshingly unpredictable and dangerous. He tells Holland to help to keep his mouth shut about stuff. So that was interesting there too, because he's hired by Holland. So probably one of the most interesting things that I found out about this is that Arcane and Holland the two male and female protagonists that you have here, these two are connected by one person, and that's Avery. They're connected by the family, the Sunderland family. Probably one of the most interesting aspects of the science behind the events that have transpired is the fact that this accelerant seems to operate on a Wi-Fi network. The very moment that Alec puts some of the accelerant on part of the vine, 20 feet away, the corpse is reanimated. The vine did come from the corpse, so that is easily digested and understood. However, but as soon as you see the girl in the hospital awaken, she is... This is where it gets bizarre, and the qualities of supernatural forces begin to take shape. This all makes me want to know what the accelerant is and where it comes from, and what is making this happen. An absolute phenomenon has sprung up in Mirai, and we, as the audience, have become thirsty and hungry biologists. We are now embarking on the same journey that our two protagonists have stumbled upon, and it is fun. Definitely. So that's the beginning